So One Piece chapter 1163, the panels have dropped now for the spoilers, so let's go ahead and get into them. Remember, Imu possessed Saturn, and now we're seeing his figure of what's kind of taking place. Extra legs popping out of nowhere, and really it's just Saturn's body with Imu cropping out. And there still is no color scheme yet. Throughout this chapter, you'll see too that it's just black, like that might be him entirely. But Imu is just attacking indiscriminately the Marines, the pirates, really anybody. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying yesterday, that he really doesn't care about the Marines at all, right? You would think maybe it's Celestial Dragons, but even them, they ended up killing their own once they betray them at all. But this goes and shows, you know, where the elders were, how they kind of talked about them being insects. You know, Imu has been here for thousands of years, potentially, probably since the first world. So they're really no more than pests to them, just like beyond insects, just like so insignificant. So he doesn't care. But then who's watching this is actually Garp, right? You're having a double shot of Roger's reaction and then Garp's reaction, all right? And they're kind of freaked out because of just how monstrous, he's just a demon. This is what they're looking at. So they cut from looting. They cut from Shaki being saved. Okay, that's fine. That's behind us now. We need to deal with this, right? And Garp is really just like looking at how the Marines are being massacred here. And obviously he's like, we need to back these guys up. Okay, like no matter what it is, no matter what's going on, we need to back these guys up. And some of the Marines around were like, are you sure you want to do that? You do realize that was like an elder. That was like who transformed, and then now that elder turned even more. To which Garp kind of was like, oh, okay, this is the first time I've seen him, but this is exactly who I'd picture them being like, right? And if you were just saw Saturn, I mean, like, if that was your boss, I don't even know how you would get to that assumption. I mean, unless Garp has seen a lot more, which goes into like the Garp allegations, right? Like, did he really redeem himself this episode? This chapter? We'll see, but Garp still understands what's going on. Like, the fact that people are like, this guy just sits behind a desk and really just protects slaves, that's been like the general consensus, because how can you be part of this organization that does hold slaves, that does do all these terrible things? And this might be a redemption arc right now for Garp. So he takes off, and all the Marines are trying to hold him back right now. And they're like, this is the highest authority in the government. Do not make that mistake. He does not care. Okay, Garp does not care. He is just taking off. What I find funny about Garp, though, in these panels is he's extremely determined, okay? Say what you want about Garp, but when Garp sees something he doesn't agree with, he is first and foremost going to be true to himself and what he believes in. And it's honestly pretty admirable, because Garp obviously has been under a lot of scrutiny because of the slave and the protection and him actually still working for the Marines, where you can make the argument that, he might see the most justice being done if he stays with the Marines. And honestly, among a lot of other people, I really hope this is like the birth of Sword. Like, I hope that this is what pushes him to create Sword. And this probably can go far into like another theory, which is like Kuzan being part of Sword still, or something like that. Like, I don't know if that might ever happen or whatever, but you might see Kuzan working for Garp and then pulling his punches back or something like that. I don't know. I could wish. But Garp, just when he sees Imu, dude, it is like on site. Like, he understands that he's like, I don't care if this is my authority, like if this is my boss, dude, they are literally killing my men. Like, he has no regard for anybody here. Why should I? And it's just like that energy and the look on his face, man, is nuts. Okay, and then he goes in. And then we cut over to the Captain John and the Gonzu fight. All right, because remember, Captain John, man, dude, has Kid's devil fruit, right? So this is confirmed. He's just taking all of the treasure, just, lifting it up and bringing it all towards himself. And honestly, it's a really cool frame. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, why didn't Kid kind of take this route too? But obviously, Kid's a lot more violent, right? To just say the least. Like, Kid cares about making guns and taking and disarming you more than he is just like lollipopping treasure. And this kind of pissed off the Roger Pirates, because Gonzo, keep in mind, had the Bomb Fruit, right? And he, for some reason, wants to use that mucus ability and then pop Captain John. And then defeats Captain John, like, very quickly. And, you know, I don't know what we were expecting. I was kind of rooting for Captain John. I thought he was going to be, like, really OP, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I thought Captain John actually had something up his sleeve. But it does look like he was just greedy and kind of glass cannon squishy, because if all you can do is use, you know, a mid-grade sword, maybe apply hockey to it, and then you have the Jika Jika no Mi, to be able to, you know, bend magnetic force. That alone, you could survive, I feel like, in the Grand Line, or even on Rox's crew. Like, he probably has a lot of use, because that ability just seems busted. But the fact that he was kind of defeated in one shot, I don't really know what to put it as. I might put it in the column of, like, Captain John's a little weaker, or in the column that Gonzo is just him, like, that ability is broken, the bomb fruit, right? But it kind of does make you wonder, though, like, why just mucus? Like, why not just use, like, you know, like poo? It's like, I saw Zonin talking about this, and I'm like, that's really funny, because he has a point. Like, you could take some, hold it in for later, and then when you really want to use it, you just have this massive bomb, right? or your hair. Like, I was thinking, why not use like a hairball, right? Like, that's kind of where my brain was going, not necessarily fecal matter, but I can understand. But anyway, Captain John gets one shot. So we kind of cut then to Dragon, right? Dragon with Shanks, because as the ability, as Captain John's casting out his magnetic force, Dragon's running with Shanks, and he actually gets knocked down, right? His sword gets taken, or I believe, sorry, his weapon gets taken, and he gets knocked down, right? And he ends up waking back up. I don't know how much time has passed, but he ends up waking up holding a log, thinking that was Shanks. And all the while, Shanks was actually crawling into the treasure chest. So that's essentially how, you know, the Roger Pirates found him. They found him in the treasure chest. So this was all Shanks is doing, right? Like, it wasn't Dragon with a 5D play and, you know, storing him there. He was actually like, oh my god, I lost a kid. Like, what am I going to do? And kind of sweating, but there's so much chaos. It's like he was probably just holding on to that baby for some kind of rock to kind of establish, like, there's demons here. There are women and children just being murdered outright. You know, like, this is the only form of purity that he has. And it's gone now. And it's actually really significant if you think about it, just because of Dragon's character, of what he goes on later to do, right? Captain of the Rev, most wanted man on the planet. That, I feel like, is, like, what's happening right now, him losing Shanks. Because who knows? He might end up knowing that Shanks was founded by Roger and grew up to live a good life for the most part, you know, despite being a pirate. I'm not sure if you want to put that up to wherever. Like, Dragon might particularly not like pirates. We don't know yet, right? He might like pirates, might not like pirates, but we know one thing, he definitely hates the world government. But nevertheless, Shanks goes into the treasure chest, and that's that, right? And that's the rest of history. So, no, unfortunately, Dragon wasn't doing this 5D play. So let's move on, right, to the meat and potatoes, which is the 6-person massive named attack against Emu, right? You have Garp, who takes the lead. Okay, I cannot stress this enough, how just happy I am to see Garp take the lead and just smack Emu, like, basically face level. Like, the explosion goes up. He's using Galaxy Impact, so obviously the AoE is just massive already. You have Divine Departure. You have Pandemonium, so, like, the first named attack by Rock so far, right? You have Blackbeard with Earth Shaker, and then you have Big Mom. Again, Big Mom was attacking Kaido here, and it kind of shows because as you guys know, Kaido outright stole the fruit, because Big Mom was getting ready to give that to Katakuri. Kaido saw his chance, took it, and then Big Mom's rolling in because she's like, I'm gonna kill you. And if you can't throw up the food, and this is like can't throw up the fruit, excuse me. And this is kind of a funny quarrel, because Kaido's like, dude, I can't just throw it up. And then she's like, okay, well, you owe me money. Which kind of shows, like, how, you know, like, shallow the problem really is. Like, in her hearts of hearts, Lin Lin, Big Mom probably does have a soft spot for Kaido, have that like little brother energy going on, because that's kind of how it is currently too. Like, she's kind of mad and upset about betrayal, and then like they haven't talked in a while, but like it does seem like this underlying respect that not only Kaido has for Big Mom, like he does respect her a lot, but that Big Mom has for Kaido, and it's kind of like this cold shoulder energy that you would give like a family member. But she misses the attack on Kaido and then attacks Imu instead. And I've said this yesterday, it does not matter. She has all the AoE in the world. Like, she is a menace, dude. Even like, I would maybe even say this is prime Big Mom. It's probably a stress, probably not, but this is pretty close to prime, right? Maybe like the current story, I'm not sure if you want to like scale her up because of she's kind of gotten bigger, and bigger might mean tankier, so I don't know exactly, but she is pretty prime right now. And then attacks him, so that's gonna hurt, but it does nothing, right? The whole attack, Kaido's blast breath, all these named attacks do nothing to him because he immediately heals back. Okay, and I'm gonna try to stay in order here, but this is like such a crazy battlefield right now. Like, everything that's going on, right? It really looks something like this. So after this giant barrage of attacks, Imu basically just regens immediately, and this goes and shows every single top tier in this era, which has so far been the strongest people in One Piece, right, still haven't been able to damage Imu. Where, he might be someone who has an OP Devil Fruit, right? He could be tapping into another realm. He could be someone before Devil Fruits. I've seen that theory a lot. I've also seen the theory that he's actually has the Dragon Fruit in that mural that they have, that giant dark dragon. Like, that's the Devil Fruit he has. Kind of going with like Nika, how Nika was a deity, like he did exist, and somehow they were able to just like take the abilities or take that power before Devil Fruits really happened, and they were able to control it themselves. I don't know exactly which one I'm leaning towards in the moment. I do, however, like the fact that he could just be pulling it from a different realm altogether, like everything, like pocket dimensions almost. Like, he could be using black magic, he could be using something where Devil Fruits originate from, there could be a certain hierarchy in like hell or something like that, and Emus can tap into a higher frequency, so he can use more abilities compared to like a regular Devil Fruit user. But the mythical Devil Fruits are already multi-layered and multifunctional, where you do get more than one ability with it. Like, it would make perfect sense if it was a mythical, right? Just a really strong one, obviously. But Imu regens almost immediately, and that's when Rox confronts him, calling him the King of Rats, right? Which is just phenomenal because, dude showed up in the Flower Garden. He already said, he's here for the smoke. And that's when when Imu says, oh, I should have known this was you, Davy Jones. And he's like, this isn't me. But a promise is a promise, and I made a promise I have to keep. And Imu goes on and says, that's why you need to be exterminated, okay? And Rox actually goes and chops him up. But before he does that, Imu is talking to Rox and says, I can see your wife and child running in the forest, right? Like, I could kill them, and he's like, shut up. And just kind of getting into his head using psychological, he's like, you could go ahead and get rid of them yourself and maybe survive. And it's just like the weirdest mind game. And Rox isn't with that, so he just cuts them up. He just dices them up immediately. And everybody is watching this take place, mind you. Like, all these top tiers are watching this. And then this is the big one. This is the big kahuna, is that Rox gets Domi reverse-eyed, and I don't want it to happen. This is it. You can tell that Rox isn't gonna make it. I am holding out, however, that he just powers through it. Like, he ends up forcing himself out of the ability. If anybody can do it, it's him. Okay, any pirate on the face of this planet in that world could do it. It would be Rox, because the thing is, and what's giving me a little bit more credit towards that, is that he's like partially transformed at the end of the panel, right? He ends up, cutting up Emu. Emu stabs him with these, these like tentacles right through, and then Domi reverses him, and he's growing fangs, he's growing horns, and maybe in this instant, in the next chapter, he just flexes out and then somehow dies a pretty stereotypically Oda way, by getting backstabbed, or how any awesome protagonist, like side main character, would go out, like an Odin or a Viper or something like that. And I can live with that. I would prefer it that way, like have him stand up on his own 2 feet. Again, I'm really hoping they sealed him for some reason. Like I'm on that train of like, maybe they sealed him into Blackbeard, or like, maybe this theory of him having multiple souls, or maybe the Opi no Mi user used him and then took his soul and put it somewhere else or something like this, because Rox is just too epic. But he could easily, I think, flex out of this. If this is something involving hockey, Rox is him. Okay, Rox is someone who's going to be able to complete that. But that was the end of the chapter. You see Teach and his mom running away, but I just don't want to see, I saw a few people talk about this. Dude, like, Rox is too good to be his lapdog. Like, he can't just be Emu's lapdog and like his demon bodyguard and just go out and start, murdering all these top tiers. Like, that there's already people who aren't here, but are the legend happens. Like, Rock survives, Garp survives, Big Mom and Kaido survive, that Shiki survives. So it's like, who are we really, we know Whitebeard survives, so he wouldn't kill off anybody, it would be like maybe this display of crazy force, but I just do not want him to be a demon lapdog subservient slave. Like, this would be the weakest character, right? Like, this would take a step back on Rox, because he's just that good. But kind of rambling now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you guys have not already to Nox Echo 99, and we'll do a review when the chapter actually comes out, when the first translation comes out. But yeah, man, this seems like the end for Rox. Anyway, all right, take care, guys.